peace and love. I'm Spiff Ellis, and welcome back to Marco Mondays. It's the third installment. You made it. We're gonna be doing Hood Character Mondays today, and I'm gonna be using these new Cal or Chow Copic markers. I'm gonna be using some of the sketch Copic markers, grays, neutral grays. We're gonna be using skin tones. We're gonna be using burgundy, yellow. To be specific, the actual number on the marker is RV69. And we're also gonna be using Y38. So now today I'm going for more of a, if you ever seen the movie Warriors, I'm kind of going for that kind of aesthetic. Warriors, Street Fighter. You know I'm into the boxing thing. I'm also into just the mental health thing. So it's a representation and symbolism of those things. It's a mixture. You get what I'm saying? You're gonna need a needed eraser. This is very important. You can get it for like $2 anywhere. You can find it at any art store. It's gonna be very helpful for you because it doesn't leave shavings and it's really strong, so you don't really have to like rip through the paper with your number 2 pencil like how you always do. So you know, that's essential. You're gonna need, it doesn't have to be the Statement brand, but definitely you're gonna need like a 2B pencil. You're gonna need a 4B, 6B, potentially a 7B pencil. That's definitely good for the undersketch for the markers. You're also gonna need you a nice sharpener because you might have to sharpen your pencil as you go through. If you're heavy-handed like me, and you're constantly breaking pencils as you're creating, you're gonna need a sharpener, for sure. Obviously, you're gonna need a sketchbook. This one is actually 8x11. This ran me about $10. You don't really gotta spend too much money on your sketchbook, but make sure you have good paper, and just make sure it's enough paper. You don't want to get like a skinny sketchbook because it's not gonna force you to make more art. You get what I'm saying? So I want you guys this year to really focus on art and really make more art. So yeah, let's check it out, man. Stay tuned. Yo, welcome back to Marco Mondays. With yours truly, Spiff Ellis. As you can see, I'm sharpening my 2B pencil. That's the pencil that you normally want to use. It's just something about it. It's really smooth. It's something about the texture of it. It doesn't have too much of a heavy graphite at the tip of the pencil. It doesn't rip through the paper like most pencils do. It's not cheap like most 2B pencils are that you get from, you know, like your CVS or Walgreens or what have you. Right here, I'm kind of focused on more of a side angle of the character. As you can see, it's the left side of it. And these are all coming from imagination, just from multiple days and hours and years of just studying the anatomy, the human anatomy. This particular instance is male anatomy. But yeah, you want to know the rules before you break them. That's the saying, you know, a wise man once said. Here, I'm just putting the flesh over the undersketch, like the underskeleton of the undersketch. It's better for you guys to just start mapping out and use like a blueprint for the body of how you want to do it before you flesh it out with the hair, the meat, the bones, the skin, the whatever the case may be. Is, you know, even if you're creating a monster, you have to do the basics of the figure, which is just shapes. You know, you want to have a sphere for the head, and you want to have boxes and ovals for the torso and the pelvis, and so on and so forth. Here, I'm just adding more of the features. Just put the eyes and the nose and the mouth and the ears and things like that. These are the things that make your character look like him or her. You know, this person is more lean, as you can see from how I'm doing his arms. Just more of a skinnier build, more tone build, and yeah, it doesn't have to always be the same. Like every character you draw should be different for the most part. You should be trying different styles. You should be trying to learn your own style, different techniques. Like you should be making people who are more on the heavier side, skinny people, tall, lanky people, disproportionate people. You could draw someone that has, deformed arms. Like if it just depends on whatever you feel. Like just be creative, you know. And it's not where you're making fun of someone who, you know, may potentially have that real problem in real life, but it's really just more about just being creative and showing light to those situations, you know. Here I'm just adding more of the details on the arms, adding the pants. I was going more for like sweats, you know, like I don't really do jeans often. I'm really into like, you know, like Japanese pants and, you know, drop crotch pants and harem pants and stuff like that. But yeah, like if I do jeans, it's probably like I'm gonna probably draw something on the actual character as if he had like painted on jeans and stuff like that, being creative. This is the point where I'm kind of touching up. Like the last 2 Marker Mondays I did, I don't know if you guys watched it. If you didn't, you can check that out on my YouTube on Spiff Ellis. You just search that up in the search bar, and it's also on my IGTV on @KingSpiff_ on Instagram. I just people always ask how I hold my pencil sideways like that. It's just a little swifter, but I think I should hold it just more for like gesture drawing, just to get the energy of a flow of a person's body as a reference that's in front of you. But in this particular video, like this one, I just kept it light because it's a little easier to erase, after you've done the marker layer, which I'm doing right now. You can use any marker for real. Like this one was, I forgot the name of the brand. I have to look it up again, but it was like $2 to like $4, I think, from Michael's. I fell in love with the point of the tip of the marker, and I think this is, I honestly think this is navy blue. I thought it was black, but it still kind of worked. As you can see, I switched up to the Micron brush, the brush pen, because I don't know, something about it wasn't as great as this one, but then I felt like it had potential, so I think I eventually switched back. I eventually switched back to it because I think my Micron started to kind of get messed up at the tip. Like the tip of it got a little bit deformed. So I'm doing the hair right now. My little style is like when I leave, hair, lighting on the hair just to show texture. If it's a curly hair or a curly texture or like a rougher texture, especially it looks really good when you do like braids or like cornrows or, dreads or something like that. Just be creative, switch the hair up. Like don't keep everything the same. I'm outlining the shirt, I'm outlining the main figure. I'm going over my under sketch. Like I said, so it's like 3 steps. So you want to do the skeleton under the sketch, the shapes, and then you want to do the sketch, and then you want to touch up that sketch, and then you want to go over with the markers like I'm doing right here. It's just easier that way. There are instances where I go directly into the artwork with the marker without a sketch under it. It just depends on how I'm feeling, but I think these videos, I want to show you guys thoroughly like how I started. Even if I don't always do it in this format, it's good to practice every type of technique, because there's going to be days where you don't really have an idea and you kind of have to find it. That's kind of what I'm doing with these videos. I don't wake up, I don't go to sleep the night before I make these videos for you guys to, with an idea of what I want to draw. Like I let my hand do what it wants to do. I let my mind take me where it wants to take me. And it's like shooting in the dark pretty much. And just see where it goes. And I just know that it's going to be a character from my mind, and it's going to be an original and just something that I feel looks tight. And that's all you have to really do. Just pull from your imagination these days. Don't focus so much on always having a reference, though references are good. And I suggest you use references when you are creating. Like say, you can look through Marvel books or comic books and, watch Spider-Man or Marvel or the Avengers or whatever inspires you when it comes to making characters like these. If you're working on anything, like any project that you feel is going to involve characters and you have to make them up from yourself for like personal or copyright reasons, like, you feel me? Like, just do it with a reference at first until you feel like you got the hang of it. I'm a little more advanced when it comes to making up characters because that's like all I usually do, to be honest. If I'm not drawing like other things like cars or sneakers, like sneaker designing, or I'm working on clothing for my brand youth service, it's usually humans and people, So as far as this color stage, I'd use the E00 from the skin tone pack for that first layer that you see under this layer that I'm working on now, which is E11. It comes in like a pack of 5. and you just really got to use it in the order that it comes in the box, from lightest to darkest. It's challenging for people to paint or use marker or watercolor or whatever medium you use, going the opposite direction. You want to go from light to dark so you can control the hue and control the values. You just gotta, like I said, you gotta know the anatomy a little bit. You gotta know the muscles. You gotta know where the shadows go. So you can see I'm looking for E13. I couldn't really find it because the cow or chow markers that they just released, Copic marker just released, they didn't have a 13 in there. So I had to use my Copic sketch marker, the original one, to add the hue of E13. That's the third value that comes in the skin tone pack. And this skin tone pack is more cool. It doesn't really have a warm vibe to it. So yeah, I think that you would have to individually pick through different browns that you feel work better for you. But in my opinion, I think that these are just fine, because most complexions in Marvel, or like, you know, most values in Marvel and comics have this tint. It's just that blue tint, that bright, you know, cool tint. I don't really see too much warm colors being used nowadays, at least. So yeah, just like going in, touching up where you feel shadows will be, but you have to have your light source. So my light source is pretty much from the viewer. It's as if there's a light shining on him from the angle of your eyes looking at him, like as if you're shining a flashlight on him or a big light. And then there's also a light behind him and also in front of him, but they're from like the aerial angles above him. Yeah, so if you create your light source, you'll know where your shadows are, because it's always going to be on the opposite side, like I always say to you guys. I'm using E15 right now. That's another shadow, another shade that's going to create shadows. And now I'm going to use E18 to give it even darker shadow, because you want to, like I said, you want to make it kind of jump off the page. You want to make that three-dimensional effect happen. And that only happens when you really don't use flat images. You don't want to have just filling it in. You don't want to just leave it filled in with one color and then you're like, oh, it's done. It just depends on what style you're going for. But, you know, if it's more like anime or something like that, you could just use the base color and then the shadows, which is just 2D or whatever. But if you wanted to like look like this, you want to go with every color you can possibly use to make it jump, to make it have different values, different hues, different tints, whatever the case may be for you, whatever you personally feel, you know, to your discretion. For the shirt, like I said, it was inspired by the Warriors. I didn't draw it the exact shirt that the Warriors, you know, wore, or the leather vest. I just wanted it to be the color scheme mostly. But it was like Warriors. I didn't mention it in the intro, but it was more like football practice, 80s football practice dude, you know, like an 80s football practice. He plays football and practices, and then he also boxes. And, you know, he's to himself. He's a chill dude, you know. I would name him something like Rye. Like, I don't know, like R-I-E or R-Y-E. Like a cool name. Like, I don't know. I think Rye would be tight. I mean, in the comments, you guys could probably give him what you think he would be named if you feel, you know, like that. Yeah, you might as well do that. I'll give you guys that challenge. But yeah, so here I'm adding the values to the lips, and I just did like a little shine with that white gel pen that you could purchase for like $2 too. And I'm going over it with this darker burgundy just to create shadows, because this color was just so dark that you couldn't really do much with it. Going into the hair, I used the neutral color gray. I think it was N4, neutral 4, just to give it a lighting. But I made it a little bit darker gray just to show that his hair isn't like too gray. You know, just a shadow. And I'm touching up with the neutral grays in the wraps of his hand as well. More ninja inspired. Using the yellow, I think this is Y39 or Y. I think Y something, but I know it's Y. Touch with the halos, and you know, when you draw like gold or yellow or stuff like that, you can just use brown, the brown from the skin tone pack to use as the shadows. And I made his pupils yellow. You can't really see too well. I think you just gotta kind of zoom in, but I wanted to give his effect of like king, you know, royal, warrior, fighter, you know. And of course the signature, the that you all know me for, and you know it's me when you see it. Going over, I did a little bit of tattoos also, just to, like I said, all my hood characters, street characters, I like to have them, look real, different, really unique, in many ways. So, yeah, it's just, you want to go as far as you could possibly go creatively. Nothing is ever finished. Nothing is ever done. Nothing's ever perfect. It's just what you make it. It's when you feel comfortable and you feel like it's ready to go. I'm adding a little bit more tattoos to it. I did like a half sad, half smiley face right here. There's another signature I never really expanded on. Probably might do it this year. We'll see. Stay tuned. This pink was just so tight to me. Like I loved how rich it was. So I wanted to just use it. I felt like pink would work perfectly in contrast with the yellow pants, but also I think it would work perfectly with the burgundy too. Like oddly enough to most people, but I felt like it would be a cool just gesture to the rest of the picture. I just wanted to have it pop like that, So now I'm adding my signature, and that's it. Thanks for watching.